just want you all to introduce yourselves, and you're both seniors, so tell me what your interests are, after you get out of school, just to let us know a little bit about you and what brought you to this project. So I'm pretty sure your interests are tied, to this in some shape, form, or fashion.
Okay. Hi guys. I am Pyle. I'm a senior at USD 345 High School. Outside of school, I'm interested in ballet. I take AP Gov. I like politics. It's really fun. For college though, I plan on going to Arizona.
Awesome.
My name is Forrest Brungardt. I'm also a senior at USD 345. My main passions are politics and history. I'm a history nerd, and yeah, this is kind of just what I do. And I want to go to college in Seattle.
Awesome. So for those people who are not familiar with this storyline, and the history of this movement that you all are part of at Topeka, I was about to say Topeka West, at Seaman High School in Topeka, Kansas. Give us a little recap of what this is about. Like what's going on? How did we get to this point?
Okay, so as long as anybody can remember, if you ask any alumni, there's always been a rumor going around in USD 345 that our founder, Fred A. Seaman, was part of the KKK. But this has just been a rumor. There's been no hard evidence. Nobody's been able to do much about it. So, it's just kind of been staying in the background as a rumor. However, in October of 2020, two student journalists at Seaman High School found hard evidence that our founder, Fred A. Seaman, was not only a member of the KKK, but was an exalted Cyclops, which means he was a leader of the KKK clan. And when this came out, everything blew up. There were a lot of people fighting to change the name, and we all kind of expected the Board of Education to be like, oh, wow, our founder supported the KKK and he worked for it, so we really need to change our name of our schools. But they didn't. Then they didn't. And so since October, the movement kind of got swept under the rug, and people kind of stopped talking about it, kind of forgot about it, and the board refused to do anything about it. They called for a grassroots movement from the community if anything wanted to change. So me and Forrest and a few other students have created this grassroots movement from the community, and we are now working to change the name of Seaman Schools.
Well, first of all, I want to thank both of you, formally again, since this is the official broadcast that's going out that actually works. I want to thank both of you all for being here today, and also for continuing this movement that's been a long time coming, because I graduated back in '97, one of a couple students of color, Black students in that graduating class of 250 students. And these rumors, like you said, Kaya, have been around since before that time, never acted upon, never really addressed, just circulated and created a normalizing culture, for, white supremacy, at the school in regard to the Klan. Because the thing is, if we know this is a history, it's being passed down, over and over again, why is nothing being done to address it? But the argument back then was, well, it wasn't really confirmed. We don't really know for sure. And now we know for sure, thanks to you and, the other students, that you're working with in regard to getting this message out there. But since you've got this message out there, Forrest, like what's been some of the pushback that you've received?
Yeah, so we've of course gotten a lot of positive attention, and with that we've gotten a lot of negative attention. So Rene Cabrera, he's one of the people who is helping to lead this movement. He is a student of color, and he is also gay. And that means he has a big target on his back just for existing and being an activist in our community. So he's received a lot of racial and homophobic slurs. I've gotten my fair share of homophobic slurs. And then on our petition, people are signing it with screw gays, blacks, and Jews. And it's just proving our point that racism is alive and well in the USD 345 community, and that if we continue making excuses, it's only going to get worse.
You've received, hateful slurs. You've received, I guess like condemnation, for what you're trying to do. You've received, aggressive means to silence you and passive means to silence you. But you all are still here, and that's admirable. That really is admirable, because it takes a lot to stand up against that. How many of you are there?
So in the leader group of us, there's about 4 or 5 of us working behind the scenes of everything. And there's also the 2 student journalists who are not involved in the movement, but they are documenting everything that we're doing. And then outside of that, we have a larger group of volunteers full of alumni, full of staff, full of students from USD 345. And we also have another group of around 30 students of USD 345 who are also working for this.
You say that there are continual revelations that, this is not something that just happened where you found this out, this one bit of information out and that was it. You're saying that more information is continuing to surface.
Yeah, so our student journalists have been hard at work covering not only the movement that has grown out of the original story, but also covering new revelations that are coming up. I don't want to spoil what's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of hard evidence that can't really be ignored on who Fred Seaman was and what he actually stood for. But yeah, mainly these student journalists have worked so hard. They've been working overtime.
The funny thing is that we keep digging deeper and we keep finding gold. There keeps being more evidence that just proves Fred Seaman's affiliation with the KKK and proves his activities with the KKK. It's irrefutable at this point. And more evidence will be coming soon. So yeah.
Okay. So with that evidence, with this movement, growing, and we're doing everything we can to help it grow. I know you guys are dealing with it at the student level, but the whole goal is to expand it, to involve the greater community, the greater Topeka community, and even the national community, if you will, because this is something that does have that kind of weight to it. But what attempts have been done to reach out to other schools in the community, Topeka High, Topeka West, Highland Park, because this is, like I said, a community issue in regard to the history of the Klan.
Yeah, so I've been in charge of I wouldn't say in charge. I've been responsible for a lot of the outreach that we've been doing to other cities and other high schools. I'm a part of the Kansas High School Democrats. This movement is not affiliated with them, but they have been supportive in spreading this movement to their schools through their own chapters, as well as getting us contacts with people in the media around the state. So they've been a big help.
Okay. As far as the impact, what have you seen, thus far? I know you've received a lot of negative, pushback, but have you seen the culture of the school change? In any way whatsoever? Are you seeing a galvanization of students, coming to your side or against you? What are some of the shifts you've seen since this story has broken?
We walk into school and a good amount of the teachers are very in support of what we're doing. They talk to us about it. They're like, hey, this is our idea we have. Maybe you guys can integrate it somehow. They're very excited about it. They're really, really motivated to help us. And then with that, there's also a lot of students who are motivated. But then of course with that, there's also a lot of students who are against us. I wouldn't say that we've seen a lot of change in the hallways, but you do talk to students and they have a point of view. They have a side. They're either for it or they're against it. And I mean, there are some middle, but it's almost kind of created a divide, but I wouldn't say it's affected a lot of the atmosphere in the school at this point.
There is some pushback that's occurred that seems to be coming up, just like you all operate at the grassroots movement. There's an online petition against you all. You want to talk about that at all, Forrest?
Yeah, so we started our petition on last Monday, and in that time we've gotten almost 4,000 signatures. A few days later, a opposition petition popped up and hasn't really gained much traction, and it has less than 400 signatures at this point. So it's pretty clear which side the community stands on. We have the support of tons and tons of people in our community, prominent leaders, activists. We have obviously students and staff and alumni who are all chiming in to say, we support this. So even though there has been a lot of negative press and there's been a lot of pushback, I would say it's pretty overwhelmingly positive, and that the majority is pretty much on our side.
I know there have been certain people, I'm not going to name names, but there have been people who have spread this counter petition around on Facebook and on Twitter. And in fact, our Twitter, which was pretty active, has been suspended. And one of the theories is that it was suspended due to trolls mass reporting it, just to go against us and to make it so we no longer have that platform, which was really powerful for us.
Yeah. So our biggest goal has just been to try and open up the conversation. We felt like previously it had just kind of been swept under the rug, and we wanted to bring attention to it. And like you said earlier, the biggest way that I say we, like society as a whole, ignore problems or just let them get worse is just by ignoring them. Mm-hmm. And by silencing us, that's what they're trying to do. And if anything, this just further proves our point that we are trying to have a conversation and they're just trying to shut us down. And we want the community to come together to heal and to work through this together. And they just want us to stop, and they want to try and silence us, and it's not going to work.
And it shouldn't. I guess like the biggest concern, because this is a dialogue, it's an interview, but it's also a dialogue, because from alumni to current students who are about to be alumni, this is a long-term effort. It began before me, it happened during me. You all have done significant legwork in regard to taking it forward. So like how what efforts are being taken now to perpetuate this movement, to make sure that this goes on to the next step?
Luckily, we have one of our team members, one of the leaders of this movement is Renee Cabrera, who is a sophomore. And not only is he a sophomore, but he's very, very active in the community. He knows a lot of the community leaders and those who have power to make a difference. And Renee is devoted to this movement. He's devoted to creating what's right in the community as a person of color and as a student. So I know he's working well, and he will carry this on once we leave. And we're hoping that he will also encourage other students in his grade to also carry this on, so that this doesn't get just like, oh, they graduated, we don't have to worry about it anymore because there's no one pushing for change, so that it doesn't get oppressed once we leave.
Yeah. Gotcha. Even when we do graduate, we're still going to keep fighting. Like, we're not going to go away. Once we graduate, we don't disappear. Most of our support has come from alumni. So we're going to be alumni next year. So the only thing that changes is maybe where we live. And even then, we can still make calls, we can still make graphics, we can still post on social media. That's one of the most important things about the modern age, is that we can access information from anywhere, and we can spread information from anywhere. So no matter what happens, we're going to keep fighting. And even then, we still have the teachers and we still have the community members and we still have the underclassmen who support our cause and who are going to keep fighting. So really, there is no time limit on this. It's just going to keep going until it changes.
And that's what's up. We're going to try to make that happen. So as far as like personal connection, personal interest stories in relation to, I guess, like the culture of the school, have you heard or have you spoken to any of the students? What are the students who are in support of this saying, about what it is that you all are doing?
The students who are in support of this, they just think it's ridiculous that with the name Seaman, we are honoring somebody who worked and fought for racism and oppression and white supremacy. And they're like, why do we have this name that we're honoring this person who did this? We are a school. We should be teaching these young, impressionable minds that we don't support these things and that we should be condemning them. I heard someone say that we might as well erect a statue of Fred Seaman, and because we're already honoring through his name, and his picture still hangs in the Hall of Fame in 2 places actually in the school. Like, why are we honoring them? That's kind of the general consensus from what I hear is why still in 2021.
And what's what defenses are individuals coming up with, Forrest?
Yeah, so we've seen 2 main defensives of keeping remaining Fred Seaman's place of honor as the namesake of our school. One is that we are trying to erase history. 2 is that it's going to cost a lot of money. And so our rebuttals against that is erasing history would be trying to wipe Fred Seaman off the face of the earth and pretending like he didn't exist. We're still going to have the pictures of Seaman, like class of whatever, Seaman High School. People are still going to know that we were named Seaman, and we want Fred Seaman's picture to be in the district museum. We're not going to forget this. If anything, we're telling the truth about who he was, and that's what history should be, telling the truth and then reacting to that instead of just trying to erase it. And then the other rebuttal for fundraising is the district hasn't released any numbers on this. For all we know, it could be like $3. Probably won't be, but we also have a ton of donors lined up who are ready to help cover the cost of this. And we're not going to do it like all in 1 week. We're not going to shovel in all that money at once. It's going to be a gradual process, maybe take a couple of years to returf the football field and then maybe get new jerseys and then maybe replace the signs. So it's not going to be a burden, and we're not erasing history. We're telling the truth, and we are doing it in a way that isn't going to harm anyone. If anything, it's going to help us.
I mean, how frequently are, because I've been trying to mull over, like, what is the cost? Like, what are we talking about here? But like, how frequently are like track uniforms and football jerseys and whatnot, like, updated anyway? I'm pretty sure you're not using the same you're not using the same jerseys that you were using back in '97 when I graduated. So, refreshes happen on a regular basis, don't they?
Precisely, for every sports team. I'm on the dance team and we get new uniforms every 2 years. Football just got new uniforms, I believe, in the past like 3 years, and they'll get new uniforms. They can get new uniforms again. And I was looking around, and there aren't a lot of signs with the word Seaman on it. The biggest things are going to be returfing the football field. We're going to have to redo the gym floors because those say Seaman. But other than that, there's not a whole lot. And we also have our tech classes, such as like wood shop and metal shop, to help recreate those signs if that's necessary.
Yeah, and a lot of the things already say Vikings instead of Seaman. The new track uniforms don't say Seaman, they say Vikings. So there's even a lot of things that we're not going to need to replace, and it's not like we need to returf the whole field, the whole football field. We only need to replace one of the end zones that has the word Seaman in it. It's not going to be a huge investment. It's but it is going to help a lot of people.
Is there an official organization that you all are part of when it comes to like what you all are doing, or is, I mean, just as you all are just uniting behind, a hashtag, or what? How are you all like creating, I guess, like structure, if you will?
Yeah, so we didn't want there to be like a central cabal of people who are conspiring to change the name, because we want this to be a grassroots organization, and most of our influence comes from personal connections. So maybe two people, and those two people know another two people, and then it just keeps going down the list until we've reached basically everyone in the community. So yeah.
With that being said, we do have we kind of have like the hashtag rename Seaman Schools. And that's our Instagram handle as well. And we also have a TikTok. We used to have a Twitter, and we also have a Facebook. So with those, that's what we use to talk to the community. And like Forrest said, we use personal connections. Hey, share this on your story, and then get other people to share on their story until it's everywhere.
So with this movement, I guess, like, what are the next immediate steps? What are you like? I know there is a vote coming up and there's a protest coming up. Tell me a bit about like what you're working on.
So at the end of the month, last day of Black History Month on February 28th, we are planning a protest. We're going to have speakers there and signs, and it's just going to be a peaceful protest to show the Board of Education that we really care about this movement and we have support for it, and we're ready to fight for it. After that, we're planning just to keep building and growing this support for this movement. And the next board meeting is planned March 15th. And so that's when we hope to have speakers at the board meeting, and we're planning hopefully another protest that day as well, and to just basically force the board members to talk about this issue.
So the protest on the 28th, you said, where is that protest and what time?
Yeah, so
that protest, go ahead, Forrest.
So that's going to be at the USD 345 district office at 901 Northwest Lyman Road. That's in Topeka, Kansas, of course. And it's going to be from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So just a quick 1 hour protest. We're going to have speakers. Bring anyone that you can and show your support if you can make it.
Okay. And so on the 15th, like you all are coordinating that right now. Is that going to be at the same place, or a different location?
So we're not exactly sure, because the district kind of gives us short notice on whether it's going to be virtual or if it's going to be in person. So we have to plan for both and hope for the best. But we will try and get out on social media the live stream, because they always live stream it. And so people will be able to watch. And then we're also going to make sure that people can stay as involved as possible during this whole process. And we'll be coming up with updates as we get more information.
Is there anything that you all like, as far as like, that I haven't spoken about, that you want to, any instructors you want to thank? Actually, I want to thank some instructors, because they made this moment happen, and one is still there, one is not. So I want to thank Miss Chamberlain, Barbara Chamberlain, used to teach, who taught English. She was really big on, my writing skills and making sure, I was doing assignments and enabling my creativity. And I've used a lot of that since I left Seaman. Mr. McKeithen, he actually passed, and he's the one who created the multimedia club there, and we produced a show every day. And so he got me on doing what I'm doing right now and talking to you all about what's going on there at Seaman. And then lastly, Ms. Sittenauer, who's still there, who made me interested in history with History Day, and having to do projects, researching the truth about reality. But I want to give you all the chance to thank whoever you want to, who's helped you thus far.
Yeah, I want to thank Madeline Gerhardt and Tristan Fangman. They are the two student journalists who have been working really hard on just covering as much of this as possible in an objective way to fairly present all the information there is. They've done really, really well, and we're incredibly thankful and we're incredibly proud of all the work that they've been doing. And hopefully they're able to make it on your show sometime soon.
I would like to thank a lot of staff members. Unfortunately, I can't name their names because they are scared of getting in trouble from the board. So, which the board has been low key, like threatening their jobs with that. So I can't name names, but the history department has been doing a huge help. The English department has been doing a huge help. Foreign language department as well. We have a lot of really, really great supporters who we really would not have been able to do this without either. They've really pushed us along and they've gotten the word out to all of their people that they know, and it's been a huge help.
And that's all I really have as far as like questions of you, but I do want to say something as an alumni, who grew up in that district, who experienced some of the hate, some of the bigotry, that was in that district. And, I was talking with Forrest about this, earlier at the beginning of the call. One thing that people talk about is, the changing of history and how it's going to cost too much money. That's all fine and dandy. It's a lot of gaslighting, as you all have come to realize. But one thing that's more important than that gaslighting, what that gaslighting is distracting from, is the experience that individuals who are taught to be in the minority are taught to be looked at as if they're in the minority. They're taught, or they experience the fact that their perspective isn't valid, that their opinions don't matter, that they aren't safe. That's what that name represents. So personally, that's what that name represented to me. And it normalized a lot of racism and bigotry in general that I experienced and that peers of mine experienced. And what that does, on top of the systemic trauma that already exists, it's another level of systemic racism. People talk about systemic racism not existing. This is an example of that. You're preserving the legacy of someone who perpetuated racism. That's literally what they did. And so it makes the environment that much more traumatic. It makes it that much more difficult for somebody to focus on learning in class because they're surrounded by racists. Not to say everybody in class is racist, just like Akaya just pointed out. There's a lot of allies around you, but the bad apples, those people are emboldened because they feel like they're in an incubator for their hate. They feel like they can communicate their hateful ideas because, after all, the building that they're in, it was named after an individual who communicated and shared those same ideas. And so it becomes a generational legacy where students who are there are perpetuating that same hate, that same negativity, and create an environment that is traumatic to students who are LGBTQ, that is traumatic to students who are non-Christian, that is traumatic to students who are not white, because the legacy is the protection and emboldening of white supremacy. So
exactly. Go ahead,
so
Terry.
yeah, I salute you all, because of the fact that you could easily say, it's not my problem, it's not my struggle, for whatever reason, individuals, who are not straight, individuals who are not Black, individuals who are not female, they don't really matter. It's fine. You can grow up and leave. That's the sentiment that you're all fighting against, and I salute you for all of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for giving us a platform to talk about this more. We've been really blown away by all the support that we've gotten, both from the media and local activists and just everyone. So thank you very, very much for giving us a voice to the world, to the internet.
It's my responsibility. I mean, this is my responsibility as an alumni. It's my responsibility as an adult who actually cares about the future for my children, and a better world. Yeah, it's our responsibilities as individuals who are citizens, in this country, to address the legacy of hate. Because we, like you said, we can't change the past, but we can protect those individuals who are being hurt now, and we can protect individuals in the future for being hurt the same way individuals in the past have been hurt by this legacy. And so that's what we're doing. This is an ongoing discussion. This is not a short-term fight. Nothing that you're doing this year, it would be great. In an ideal world, this year, you all get the name changed and everything changes. But I highly doubt that's going to happen, just based off of the legacy and the pushback that's starting right now. But I just want to let you know from the outside that, you're not, and what's happening around you in regards to the acceptance of this is not normal. Whenever you step out of a deep red state and you go to more progressive areas and you talk about the legacy of Fred Seaman, they will regard it the same way that you do. And one of the advantages that you have, back whenever I was your age, I didn't have the internet. I didn't have, I couldn't build an online movement, using dial-up in America Online, at my house over the phone line. That was not possible. But now you all have the opportunity and the ability to see what's going on outside the 400 mile wide, 200 mile tall state that you all live in. There's a whole world out there that does not embrace and celebrate and protect white supremacy the way some individuals among you do. And you're learning how to find allies, and you're learning to see through the lies to the truth. And there's going to be a lot of lies because, like I said, back in the day, you could control the truth by just not talking about the parts you didn't want to talk about. Now you all are internet savvy. Now you have the ability to go out, join communities online, and learn the truth about things, just like you've all learned about the history of Fred Seaman, and go and speak that truth. So what you see instead is a wave of disinformation, minimization, deflection. The Klan may have been disbanded as an organization nationally, but they took off one mask and they put on another. Now they go by Proud Boys. Now they go by 3%ers. So the face has changed, but that same hateful energy is there. And that's what's pushing back against you right now. And that's why I want you all to realize. And it's not your responsibility to face that alone. And I recognize there's certain things that you can say because of where you are and how you are and who you are. And there's certain things that you can't. And part of being an ally in this as an alumni, and this is a charge to other alumni who are out there, as part of being an ally in this is for me to step up and say what I can say. I can talk about white supremacy. I can talk about some of the more inflammatory aspects of this and not have to deal with the same repercussions that you might. I can talk to my peers who are my age in a way that you might not be able to because you're afraid of disrespecting elders or upsetting, an administrator or whatever. These individuals pay taxes just like I do. They've been old long enough. Those peers of mine who are alumni, they've been old long enough to know wrong from right. And they went to school with me at that institution. And I talked to people when I was there about things that I was going through as a result of racism. And so there should be no defense for those individuals who knew of me or other individuals like me who were polite and outspoken about civil rights issues. There's no excuse for those individuals to sit back and say, I don't know how this has hurt anybody, because I told you while I was there how this hurt me, if you were willing to listen. And I'm telling you right now how I was hurt whenever I was there. And other individuals are being hurt right now as a result of what's ongoing, as Forrest has relayed, as Kaya has relayed here today. This is a problem. It's not going away anytime soon. Action needs to be taken. Mm-hmm. That's my soapbox. All right. So yeah, thank you for coming on Digital Liberation Front Live. Apologize for the technical difficulties that we had before. Once again, thank you for all your hard work. Put me in contact with anybody you want me to. My platform is your platform. My viewership is your viewership. You know, my Twitter following is your Twitter following. You know, I am an extension of you. I got your back. Okay. Just let me know what you need from me and I'll try to figure out a way to make it happen because, like I said, I am part of this movement with you. Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.